Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dicing with Death. It has been a couple months, but it's good to be back. How are you doing, Ryan?
Hanging in there.
Getting by somehow?
Somehow.
Hmm.
How about yourself?
Ooh. Wife's out of town for a couple of weeks.
Ah.
And doing some gardening. It's going pretty well. Got a big plant.
Is that because she's out of town?
No,
got an opportunity to dig in the dirt.
No. We garden together. You know what they say. The family that gardens together stays together. So we're sowing them seeds and building planter boxes and making a mess of things.
It's finally season appropriate. I feel like you were thinking about this like 6 months ago or something in the dead of winter.
Yep. In the dead of winter, you dream of spring and make your garden plans, and when spring finally comes along, you make them happen.
Are burned out on gardening and don't do anything?
We paced ourselves well this time. It's been working out.
Yeah,
we got a big old planter box over there, made another one over there, and put in some tiny ones over there, and then we tore off all the mulch and tarps over the half the front yard and put in some native grasses and built a wall of logs, and I'm going to put in some trellises and have some crawling vines to create a little shady spot. Got some bird feeders and a bird bath, and it's come along pretty well. Really quite pleased with it. What were you going to say?
No, nothing. You're LARPing as homeowners. Trial run.
If only. One day, though. One day. When the prices in Boulder aren't ridiculous.
One day this streaming thing is going to take off and we'll be rich. You can have a garden and I can have a PC.
One day soon. Yeah. What's been up with you? Anything going on in Ryan's end of the world?
Work, babies,
plural
life. Well, I only own one, but
got it.
Other children exist in this world. I don't know if maybe this spring you'll get outside and see fellow humans, but
there are a couple of cute kids down the street that walk their dogs past our house sometimes, and the dogs are clearly twice the size of the children, and I don't know why these tiny children are walking these large dogs, but it's pretty adorable. Yeah.
Elle thinks that pretty much every animal except a cat is a dog. So we saw a horse. And she points out and she's like, the dog. Like, close. Close enough.
4 legs, sure. How big's her vocabulary?
I mean, a lot of sounds.
But she's got the word dog, right?
Yeah, that's about it. Priorities, right?
Got it. No mom, no dad, just straight to dog, understanding the true pecking order of the world.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Right.
So, enough talking about the weather.
Yes. Where last we left, we had opened the recap and then clearly closed it in the intervening time.
By recap, you mean the wiki? Or
the wiki, yes. That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah. I think you were getting some flame for not reading that. I asked you if there was any code of laws, and apparently I wrote a code of laws, and somehow it is missing from my library. So this episode, we go on the quest to see who stole the code
Did you
of
also
laws
get messages about that?
library.
I got messages about that.
They were probably the same messages. I just lurk the Discord from time to time, or maybe Reddit. I don't remember which.
Well, last time on Dicing with Death, Divan sought legal means of dealing with Isaac, who covets Divan's wife. Big sin.
Is that what the wiki said? I did not seek legal means.
That's what the wiki says.
That's what the wiki says. Okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
I was merely confirming that I would be in the right to I don't know.
Kill him for looking at your wife? I mean, it's the olden days, it's the beginning of the world.
Yeah.
And in the olden days on the real world, that sort of shit is how it went down. Not that, we would want to be exactly like the
also
people who were.
Showed up with spearmen and in my living room and looked at my wife. And
Yeah. God forbid. The Judge Ulra counsels Divan to take a measured response, since Isaac is important for trade with Hearthhome. Divan covers up the cockatrice pit and expands the basement as a portal room. Divan creates a temporary portal to the plane of shadows where he meets someone who looks just like him, but with injuries Divan doesn't have. The Shadow of Divan says he is here because of Atropos. An injury Divan causes to the Shadow occurs to Divan. Divan's apprentices are unable to see Shadow Divan. Divan then visits the Cursed Ghost Village with Cassandra and finds a pit of bones under the town, and at night sees the ghosts reenact their murders, with one of the ghosts seeing Atropos just before her death. After they leave the village, Cassandra has no memory of it. Divan takes the bones from the bone pit and brings them to Kronos, but Kronos detects no grudge or desire for vengeance upon the bone. And I do believe you brought Cassandra to the village and these areas multiple times, and she kept not having any recollection of them.
Yeah, like twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anything else that you want to add to this?
I think we're good.
Great.
We got a couple of remove curse scrolls cranked out, so I think now we can start I don't know, sending our minds to outer planes without risk of insanity or death.
You also leveled up twice as a wizard. Got some new HP and MP and spells.
Yeah, we don't play enough. I can't let Nick go around having the most powerful wizard in the Nealverse, so we gotta catch up.
Yeah, we'll make more time for it.
And then you'll shelf my character or something, or
yeah, or you'll shelve it yourself, or I'll shelve it, or it'll die. There'll be an electric eel that comes from out of nowhere and descends from the sky upon you.
Or are transmuters transmuters are the specialists in the sphere of alteration.
Yes.
Is that correct? Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's the confusion.
Alteration, transmutation.
Got it.
But I see we're just about at our end of our first hour. So
all right, coffee break.
Let's. Well, where do we want to pick up, Ryan?
I mean, Divan has some research to do, right? We got I think it's time to begin investigations into the Philosopher's Stone in earnest. But I don't know if you had other more mundane matters to
no, I don't think so.
Distract Divan with. Oh my.
Non-mundane matters, like looking for a Philosopher's Stone. So we will find Divan in his tower in Necrot.
Yeah, I mean, so I can't remember if we've Sirona'd or researched any of this by more ordinary, I guess using the Sirona to legend lore is not ordinary, but we've got a library, we've got legend lore. I don't know if there's any background you want to give there before I start contacting other planes, but that's probably where it would have started, and that may have started months ago, or I guess we've been busy traveling and stuff, but
I can give you a recap.
So we can do a montage of the research or a...
Yeah, I think there's probably nothing new, but it might be nice to reconsolidate all the information that you do have.
Or just that, humanity has, right? What information about the Philosopher's Stone or the World Staff would exist in a library such as the one Divan is building in Necrot.
Right.
And then legend lore may allow further insights, but
Well,
Start from there.
the knowledge of the Philosopher's Stone and the World Staff at this point in time is pretty limited. This is the early days of the world. Much of the great research and knowledge has yet to be done, yet to be achieved. So the information you would have is that a Philosopher's Stone, because there's not necessarily just one, is a chunk of the World Staff, the staff that holds up the world. Nadinus, goddess of nature, holds the bottom of the staff. Tempos, goddess of god of time and fate, turns the staff, and that causes the turning of the world. The staff sort of comes through the world ish, not like it's not like a North Pole that you can go and touch and tap, but it does support the world. Binds it to the other planes nearby, binds it to the 4 elemental planes, to the spiritual plane. Not to all of them. The Feywild isn't connected through the philosophers, through the staff exactly, but, they're sort of somehow connected. Maybe like a root system stretches out. Those details are kind of sketchy right now. At some point during the creation of the world, or in the very early days in the Age of Mist before things were really being written down, somehow this staff was damaged and chunks of it fell to Earth, to this plane. These chunks are incredibly powerful, since the staff is like a godly object that binds planes together. If you can get a physical material piece of it, you're essentially grabbing like a chunk of raw magic made physical form, and with it, spells can be amplified, magical powers can be increased. Really, at this point, the limit of this magic is unknown. Can you eat it and transform yourself into something? Do you have to hold it in your hand to cast a spell? Can you attach it to a physical object to change the nature of the object? When you empower your magic with this thing, does it consume the stone, or does the stone stay, or does it only consume part of it? There are a lot of questions about these things, and there have been a few instances where shards of the staff that supports the world have been found. Each of these shards could be considered a Philosopher's Stone, but the few records and stories that you have of these things, some of them are like oral traditions that someone has written down, and the story is maybe not great on detail, but just sort of gives a big ballpark picture. Some of them say that the Philosopher's Stones are about the size of a pinky. Others say it's more of like the size of a nail. Yet someone else has said that it's the size of a small cup. So the nature of these objects, these exceedingly rare objects, is somewhat murky, but all sources agree that they dramatically amplify the magical abilities of its wielder, its possessor. I think it goes without saying that they radiate overwhelming magic. How's that for a Philosopher's Stone recap?
Wonderful. Lore dump. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Hope someone was taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So that's probably where we are. We have some leads on where one of these might be. So that will follow up with a contact other plane.
What do your leads say?
Well, there is rumored to be one within the Feywild, and we'll be contacting the Fey to begin seeking this out. But maybe there are others. Yeah. So, I mean, magic is self-evidently great, but Krob is also in need of. We've got a silver source and a copper source, but there's no gold. So that is one of the supposed uses of this Philosopher's Stone.
To transmute metals from one to another.
Yeah. So perhaps that is some side research into where does gold come from, and how do I make it flow forth from these red hills to solidify Necrot's place in the world. So I guess we will. So that's some background. I guess contacting the Feywild is going to be the first lead here. So with I've got a few silver scrolls of remove curse on hand in case things go awry. Apprentices have been warned and briefed on the use of such scrolls in case Divan goes insane or mad as he sends his mind to other planes, communes with inhuman entities.
Let me get my raw text up. Contact other plane. Is that a 6th level spell?
5th.
Here it is. When the spell is cast, the wizard sends his mind to another plane of existence in order to receive advice and information from the powers there. As these powers resent such contact, only brief answers are given. The DM answers all questions with yes, no, maybe, never, irrelevant, etc. Any question asked are answered by the power during the spell's duration. The character can contact an elemental plane or some plane further removed. For every 2 levels of experience of the wizard, 1 question may be asked. Contact with minds far removed from the plane of the wizard increase the probability of the spellcaster going insane or dying, but the chance of the power knowing the answer, as well as the probability of the being telling the correct answer, are likewise increased by moving to distant planes. Once the outer planes are reached, the intelligence and power contacted determines the effects. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. If insanity occurs, it strikes as soon as the first question is asked. This condition lasts for 1 week for each removal of the plane. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah.
Do you get an answer to that first question?
What
Is that what drives you insane? Well, I don't know.
Oh, I see. No.
Insane.
You go insane when you ask the question. Yeah, it's that.
I don't know if I like that. I liked the idea of going insane from the knowledge bombs that get dropped rather than going insane just by making contact. But I guess that's how the
one is more
written.
like mechanical, your brain can't quite reach this area and so you go mad, and the other is more eldritch, like you shouldn't know these things that you know.
Yeah. Why not both? So the Fae is 2 steps removed from the prime material plane. Is that the idea?
I made a little handy dandy chart for myself. Yes. The Feywild, if we use the same chart here, would be considered an inner plane.
Okay. So there's a 25% chance, minus 5% because of my intelligence. So 20% chance of going insane. So I guess we seek contact. This is for such a I don't know, deep lore rich spell. Its casting is pretty mundane. I think it's verbal only, and you just send your mind to another plane.
It does take 10 minutes.
Okay.
I don't know.
I assume that's
what
10 minutes of trance, right? If there's no material or somatic components, you're just sitting down and meditating, right?
Maybe. It does
or standing there and meditating or spacing out.
Verbal. There might be words, you might be calling out to the great something of the Feywild. Oh, great Feywild creature, I reach out to you. There might be, arcane words combined with language of compulsion that draws these things.
Sure. So, in it's done in the upper reaches of the tower or in the basement. Which one feels like a better conduit to other planes? Do you have a feel for this? Maybe in the basement. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but
like with other planar issues, I think the best place to get your answers is in a place most familiar to what you're trying to contact. So if you were trying to contact the water elemental plane, you would probably want to be surrounded by water. Mechanically, I think you can do it in other situations, but I might give slight bonuses or penalties for the appropriateness of the setting.
Nah, I don't think it's worth a trip. Like the most fey place I think was the Brackish Fen. We found like some thin spots between worlds out there, and we set up a portal to the Feywild, but it's nothing very fey in the Red Hills. It's all pretty bleak. But I think these sort of contacts may thin the lines, especially if I start using those dimensional tears and stuff to open portals. I don't know. Basement or roof? What do we think?
Probably roof.
Probably the roof. Okay. When I was like in the basement, there's probably mushrooms and stuff. Fungus. On the roof, I think maybe some like vines start crawling up the side of the tower as we reach out to the Fae. And I guess I'll know immediately if I go insane, right? So I might as well roll this 20% chance, right?
Yeah. Yeah, low is insane, right? 1 to 20?
Oh, totally not insane. I am
super sane.
Divan may not know it yet, but he is he may have Fey blood in him or divine blood in him of some kind. This is quite natural. Maybe he like calls out in Elven or something similar, a language that he shouldn't speak, but somehow you can communicate with these beings across languages. Eyes roll back, glow, a whitish green. Ivy sprouts up the side of the tower as he mumbles incoherently in Feyan tongues and asks 5 questions of whatever this creature is that he has contacted. I think the apprentices gather around nervously. Are they there sort of watching? Or
absolutely.
Are they? Yeah, okay. Divan's in the center. It's this upper level of the tower. I think there are big open it's not a window if there's no window, but portals looking out over the Red Hills. Leaves of ivy creeping in, and 2 apprentices. Moth is still Asoy is still MIA. But I bet both, in case they fail, I think both Moth and Cassandra are standing there clutching a scroll of silver. Maybe a few backups are on the shelves nearby. And Divan asks, is there a Philosopher's Stone in the Feywild? And the creature will have I would vote that the chance of knowledge might be 90%. Like, we're looking at the elemental plane, like if it's specifically related to that plane. I guess it's not specifically related to that plane, huh? Okay, so 60% is the chance of knowledge, 65% is the chance of veracity.
Okay.
Right. So you rolled 60% chance to see if they know, and then 65% chance to see if they tell the truth.
The answer comes back. Yes.
Ooh. And forgive me while I pull up the wiki on the Feywild. At some point, I looked up the different locations, but now I'm going to ask about. I mean, I guess I can remember a few of these offhand. Is it in the Shaped Wood?
Is it Shaped Wood?
Fey. He's both.
The answer is irrelevant.
As in, it failed, or the creature is saying like it doesn't matter, or like it does. It is.
They are
between
saying
places.
irrelevant.
Yeah. Is it owned by an elf?
Dice. Come back. No.
No. Is it owned at all?
The answer is yes.
Someone owns it, not an elf. Got one more question left. It's irrelevant if it's in the shape, but I'm guessing that means it moves. Does it need to be a yes, no, or can I ask something like that? Is it fixed or does it move? And it's kind of a yes or no. It's like an either or.
It gives brief answers, usually one word, but you could try something a little bit more.
Is it in one location or does it move? Right, so it doesn't need to be yes, no. It could say it's fixed, or it could say it moves, or it could say irrelevant, or get fucked, maggot.
What was the exact question? Is it in a fixed location, or
is it in one? Yeah, is it in a fixed location, or does it move?
And you will get the answer worn.
Worn. Oh, okay. It is worn. Like there's a creature that wears the Philosopher's Stone somewhere in the Feywild. Moves around. Well, that is it for this. I mean, so Divan's eyes go back to normal. He shudders and leans on a shelf or wall or whatever's nearby. The ivy that we thought we saw, I think, quickly withers and dies in the hot sun of this place. And
Cassandra looks over to you. How many fingers am I holding up? She looks to
Divan struggles to come up with a witty retort, but shrugs her off. I'm fine.
Do you remember my name?
There is a stone in the Feywild. She looks worn by a creature, not an elf. Maybe not a creature. But someone owns it. And I think he goes to the library. Moth collects like paper, pen, or tablets. How does she record information?
Cheap papyrus is where brief notes get made before they get retranscribed to a more.
So maybe if she already has it, takes notes here on these investigations.
And she asks you a series of questions, like what did the voice sound like? You know, what exactly were the answers?
Did I hear a voice, or did I just know the answers?
It did not come through, at least in this casting, as a voice, more of just like a thought.
Okay.
And she asks, for the exact questions asked and the exact answers received, so she can record them for posterity. And then asks you if you would like to have 2 sets of books, one of exact details that you get to keep for yourself and your own, and another with maybe more vague details that goes into the general library.
I think in general this knowledge will eventually be open to all, so we no need to cook 2 separate set of books.
Got it.
But we will probably leave information like this on the upper floors until right, like when we find the Philosopher's Stone, these notes can go down into the main library. Until then, it's probably up here in just the reserves or something. Like there's a specialty rooms that you need permission to get into.
Yeah, because the first is the courtyard, and the second floor is the public library. The third floor is the gemstone room. So maybe the 4th floor is where you are? Or maybe the 4th floor is like a private study?
Yeah, I mean, it's constantly growing. This might even be is this the gemstone room we're in? Are there floors above it yet? I mean, we've kind of been, the spire is growing as time goes on.
I would expect there's at least 4 floors by now. So this is probably the floor above the gemstone room, which I'll note as, do you want to be a private study or a experiment room? What do you want to call this 4th floor?
Yeah, private study. So up here is probably where scrolls are kept and these notes that aren't open. And probably if anyone tried to get up here, they'd probably have to fight through the librarian to do so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
The wiki says the Feywild does connect to the prime material plane. Can you explain why it is considered 2 steps removed? Or the world is made of the elements, right?
The world is made of the elemental planes. The Feywild is connected to the elemental planes, and from there it's connected to the prime materia. And the connection is close enough that you don't actually need to plane to plane to plane. You can sort of open a door through the elemental plane of Earth to the Feywild, for example. And you would transition. You might not actually step foot in the elemental plane of Earth, but you could almost say the doorway is the plane of Earth.
Got it.
Or water.
So I don't know if Divan will research this himself or set Moth upon it, but trying to figure out what sorts of creatures dwell in the Feywild. Who rules there? A lot of this may be going through our collections of folk tales. Divan does have a folklore proficiency, so I think we have a large collection of these sorts of myths. What sort of powerful creatures might exist, and which of them might possess a Philosopher's Stone?
Well, you know that there are pixies and sprites and brownies and leprechauns and
none
elves.
Of them are going to have a Philosopher's Stone.
Dryads and nymphs.
Maybe a dryad or a nymph. But thinking the powerful, who are the Archfey? Who rules there?
That knowledge, this is too early in the world for that knowledge to be consolidated anywhere. You are the only recorder of anyone having been to the Feywild. All other stories are sort of
Can I make
a
folklore check? I mean, I guess you can tell me that none's. I'm going to roll it. We can go from there. I fail. Okay, so I think to my knowledge, someone must rule there, but I know no names.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To my, at least in this region, we're pretty far from anything Fey.
Well,
here in the hills, or at least it's a different sort. I don't know.
I mean,
I guess there's the brackish fen,
and beyond that, in the north of this continent, this island, is an elven forest.
Yeah, but that's just 12 times. It's like 50 miles away. That's as like 99% of the people here will never go out of the Red Hills in their lifetime.
Yes, that's true. Oh yeah. So if you're talking about stories of Fae stuff, then yes, there's nothing local.
Right? Is there I'm wondering if there's a legend of like the Fae King Puck or the
Mm-hmm.
some fairy queen or something that might be a likely candidate, but I know of no such lords and ladies of the
what little acquired knowledge you have of the Fae realm comes from stories and legends brought back from Hearthhome when your apprentices.
There was that half elf that came through here, and I thought we tried to buy her library. I have literacy, but maybe Moth would be the one with some relevant. Is there like a librarying skill? Is that just literacy? Moth has spellcraft. What custom proficiencies do you have on your list that relate to
to libraries?
Yeah.
Well, there's bookmaking.
She might be paper making. I think she was working on, but that's. I guess I should probably add that to her sheet. Or was that Cassandra that had that?
I'm not.
Cassandra has paper making. Interesting. Okay.
I don't think there are any custom librarian non-weapon proficiencies.
Right, there's you added administration. Maybe Moth has something like that. I would request to make like an administration check, or maybe Divan makes a literacy check to see if we purchased anything useful from that half elf. Right? I think the goal was to get her to sell us some of her writing, or let us transcribe some of her writings on this very sort of thing. But it's possible that she left in such a hurry that we didn't get anything useful, or it may just not exist.
So the dice tell us that of the knowledge you got from this person, none of it was related to Fey materials in any way, shape, or form. That the notes that you can pull up give a brief history of this half-elf's life. They were born to a human mother and lived their whole life, at least until you've talked with them in the human lands. They are half-elf by nature, but they didn't spend any time in and amongst the elves.
Need to contradict my memory, but perhaps. That was mistaken. All right. All right. There are a few spells that we need to work on. I think I will set my apprentices to assisting in this. No use clogging up my spell list with bullshit. But we need a magic mouth and a detect invisible. And transmute rock to mud will probably be on Divan, because that's like a 5th level spell. So I don't know how nitty gritty you want to get into those sorts of rules, or if we just want to say that that's going on in the background, and in 10 weeks or something, we'll make some rolls to see how that goes.
You said you wanted magic mouth for whom?
I don't care. Maybe they can both work on it. I feel like that should be something that's in, or at least a small supplement to rules, is like group research. Like, is there a way for 2 wizards to collaborate and improve the chances or something?
That would make sense. We can wing some rules like that. What was the other spell that you wanted? Magic mouth and
detect invisible. and then transmute rock to mud. But I think that's gonna have to be Divan. Magic Mouth is an improved mouth. Oh, bards, go away, bards. Why am I not finding it? I think it's a 2nd level wizard spell. And then... Okay.
Okay.
Detect Invisibility is also a 2nd level wizard spell. They're probably all 3rd level by now, or at least, yeah.
Yes, they're all definitely by 3rd level by now.
Okay.
You were gone for years. They couldn't all work in that time.
Well, Moth was with me, but I feel like adventuring to the Feywild, even if you're taking notes.
Yeah.
Cassandra is level 4. Moth is level 2 on her sheet, but
you
presumably...
can bump that up. Yeah. Was Moth with you for the whole 2 years where you were gone? I thought you were all on your own for when you were gone.
No, she was there. It was Moth and Divan.
Okay.
She came with to keep notes. Moth has no HP. I don't think she's ever taken an attack.
Great.
We'll leave it that way for now and roll like 3d4 the first time she gets hit. Cassandra doesn't either.
I haven't needed it yet. That's great.
I take good care of these apprentices.
Mm-hmm.
Is Cassandra level 5 yet, or are we going to leave her level 4?
I think we're going to leave her level 4 for now until...
Yeah.
Level 5 is a big power spike, so let's wait for an ideal opportunity.
And Asoy is still MIA. She was level 2 when she left. I guess if she survives, we'll...
Yeah, she'll be 3 by the time she gets back.
Okay. So, I mean, probably one will go for each. Magic Mouth and Detect Invisibility.
Mm-hmm.
I don't particularly care which is which, but maybe Moth goes for the Magic Mouth.
Okay. Moth with the Magic Mouth. Detect Visibility with Cassandra.
And I mean, they don't have enough spells, so maybe they just get to roll for these as one of their level up spells.
Yeah, because we haven't really added spells to them too easily.
Moth has 0 spells on her spell list.
Perfect. That's how it should be.
And Cassandra she's got a bunch of first level spells.
Well, what are their chances of spell learning?
Cassandra has a 50% chance.
Huh?
I guess they can both roll for, or maybe they both roll for both, or if one fails.
Yeah, well, one will work on one will work on the other, and if one fails, then the other will try.
Okay, so Cassandra gets Detect Invisibility.
Great.
Goblins. What was that? PHP?
Yeah, but I'm putting it into her spellbook for you.
Cool, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Moth has a 55% chance.
Okay. And we roll it.
Pass.
And she learns.
So Moth gets Magic Mouth.
Excellent. Magic Mouth.
A little ahead of the game, but we're prepping.
Mm-hmm.
And then Divan needs transmute rock to mud. Fifth level. I've already got 4 5th level spells, so I probably don't get any freebies. At 4 5th level, 4 4th. That seems fairly appropriate for a level 11 wizard. So this we may need to research.
And we can sort of hand wave much of the time and costs involved. You already have everything set up. And...
It's not a rush. I mean, I got to get to level 14.
Oh, it's not even a level that you're...
No, I also need Enchanted Item and Limited Wish.
Okay. So we're not even...
This project is in the early stages.
Gotcha.
Actually, is that that's 14, isn't it? So level 12, I'll get enchant an item.
Level 12, you get 6 level spells. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but limited wish is a 7th level spell, correct?
Yes, that sound maybe even 8th level. I don't know.
No, I think
Limited wish is 7th level.
Yeah. Okay. Long game here. That's why I was like, we can keep this on the back burner and roll in 10 weeks or whatever. But
gotcha.
No biggie. Okay. I feel like it's a good summary of spell research. I don't know if there's other matters you had in mind.
No, I actually think this is a great place to take our first break and come back on the other side with some more Dicing with Death.
Alrighty. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death. So, your apprentices have learned their spells. Divan has some grand plans for learning down the future, but in the meantime, I think is still focused on the nature of Philosopher's Stones and how you could find one.
Yes. Maybe? Yes. The nonstop quest for arcane power and gold, like any true adventurer. We may look for gold by more mundane means, mineral prospecting and the like. Consulting the library. I don't know. Any gold deposits outside of maybe we'll go back to some elemental explorations. That was the only source of gold that I found, is that random earth portal that I opened up that had a gold vein in it. It's another thing to research.
I don't know. That brings up a really useful question here. When you tear a hole into the elemental plane of Earth and you found that gold, is it possible for you to tear a hole in the exact same place in the other plane, or is your low-level interplanar travel not strong enough to pinpoint an exact location?
That's a really good question. I mean, when we open it from this side, it's always in the spot that you open it, right? Well, so when I went to the plane of Earth, that was using Minor Gateway, which I think opens a portal to a random place on the elemental plane. I mean, maybe not random, is it? Like, you're not going to open it up into, like, the City of Brass, or are you? Like, are you going to open it up into, like, the King Ifrit's toilet?
Well, I mean, law of large numbers is just very unlikely to happen if there's a whole plane.
But it's possible. I mean, so maybe these are questions that Divan considers or Moth considers, and we research and calculate and design experiments to test. But but more recently, there's the dimensional tear spell, I think is what you were referring to, where I like tear through a plane or tear a hole from the prime materia plane. Can I aim that?
Yeah, how?
I feel like it would be the same place every time you do it in the same. So I would assume, maybe I should check this, that if I went into my basement and used that portal to the shadow plane, it would always be to the same place in the shadow plane. And if like I rolled a 99 or 100 and accidentally like damaged the planar fabric, it would probably be a semi-permanent portal between those two spots on those two planes. And I think likewise, if I went into the Brackish Fen and used the same standing stones to portal to the Feywild, it might take me to that same tree in the Feywild.
In fact, you went to the same tree twice in the Feywild from the same spot.
So there's so opening portals in this way is probably finding spots where like the planes are close together, and there's a connection or forcing that connection or what have you. So theoretically, it should be possible to say, I want to get to this spot in that plane. What kind of like physical portal do I need to construct, or where do I need to go in the prime materia plane?
Where do I need to build a portal, and what type of portal needs to be built? Because it's probably not just simply like a location to location. It's probably also a device plus location gives you a pathway. Maybe changing the portal but leaving it in the same place can change the direction of where you're heading, or maybe not. There are many questions to be considered.
But practically speaking, this is probably not a very that's a very challenging thing to do. Like if you want to get to a specific spot in another plane, it's difficult. And there's like with all of the infinite possibilities of places you could start and portals you could construct, it's probably unlikely to be able to get to a specific spot. But interesting. I don't know that there's somewhere in particular I want to get other than to the gold deposit on the elemental plane of Earth. Gold ore. I have 10 pounds of gold. What does that equal? 10 times, is it 20 to a pound or 50?
50 to a pound.
It's 500 gold coins. It's not nothing, but it's not the wealth of a nation.
Right.
So, Shadow Plane's interesting. Plane of Earth is interesting. Let's go wander to the to that copper mine. That's where I was opening planes, wasn't it? Let's see what's even there now.
Great.
That's okay. Smelter, copper mine. Okay, it's like a half hour outside of town. So, one of these days we'll take a nice walk in the sunshine.
Nice, pleasant stroll out to the copper mine. You'll see the industry that has sprouted along the path. There's now a nice, easy road between the two of them. As good of a road as you'll get in this area. Hard packed
probably one
earth.
Of the better roads, actually. Like this road has to take carts of copper ore at least halfway to town to the smelters. Correct?
Certainly, hard packed earth that always maintains at least a certain width for carts to be pulled or donkeys to be walked for whatever reason the cart is unavailable. Small bridges here and there to make sure everything moves smoothly, reinforced sides in areas where it might be weak. And then there's like a little tea shop about halfway across that somebody has set up. They sell tea and they sell wine and some food, and they've got a little shade structure under which you can sit and rest. And as you get closer to the mine, you can see a small camp has been built up here. At first, it was just a few tents, but now there are some actual structures. The one building here is actually made of wood, and we understand how rare wood is in these areas, so it's quite the nice little display of above-ground shade. This would be the heart of the operations, the administrative building. And you can see the banners being flown above the building are those of your mother-in-law and those of your town. We haven't really talked about the banners or flags or sigils of this area, but by now some have been established. We can go into them, I think, on another date. But you can see the trappings of your industry here. Yeah,
there is likely a serpent involved in some places, and maybe the spires of Necrot in the future. I don't know. It's also, this isn't like a feudal Europe analog either. I don't know that there's houses in the same way that like modern Arcadia has, right? So it's not necessarily like the family has a family crest.
Right. And whatever symbols...
There are flags and sigils.
And whatever
and things, but
flies today may not be the same sigils or flags that fly tomorrow. In the modern world, we exist in a time where your symbology is pretty well set. But in a period of time like this, where everything is always in flux, today your flag might be a serpent with the spires of the tower, and then tomorrow it might be something different. So we're not locked into any of these.
And Divan surveys the mine. Maybe I try to find the spot where I first opened the portals here. I don't know if it looks totally different and I'm not able to retrace my steps, or if I'm able to find familiar places and recall, where I accidentally welcomed an earth elemental into the spot and got that poor miner killed. Where I pulled the gold.
Has been much expanded since you were last here. The area that you remember creating that portal is still that's still a chunk of wall, but there's now a room that has been built right beside it, and the hallway in which it was has been expanded a little bit. And you can't be certain if that wall has been moved out, or if it's the other wall that has been moved out a little bit. Maybe give me an intelligence check to see what you can recall specifically about the area.
Are there people all over the place?
Certainly.
Yes. Am I being accosted, or do they get out of my way while I poke around?
No, they absolutely get out of your way. I was going to kind of hand wave everything. I mentioned, trappings and flags.
So I'm walking around and I'm sprinkling crystal dust and seeing if I can recall where those portals were open and maybe find some trace of them years later. Mm-hmm. Was there anything special about this place? Did I make it special, or was this anyways? I passed my intelligence check, and I also cast detect magic. I don't know that I have any other. Locate landmark. That could be an interesting. If I get to the plane of Earth, I could probably use locate landmark to find things, such as gold deposits and such.
Perhaps. With your intelligence check, you can see that indeed this hallway has been widened, and the spot that you had originally dug through is now 2 feet into the middle of the hallway. It's been widened on both sides, so that exact location you used in the past is no longer earthen. Mm-hmm. But you're a couple feet from it.
Yeah. So I think I'm probably awkwardly standing in the hallway, sprinkling dust and touching the walls. And
meanwhile, workers are diligently hauling things around you and trying not to actually get in your way.
Mm-hmm. I guess first detect magic, and then I've also, for this, I will have brought the Earth Soul Gem, and I will be communing via ESP in the back of my head or whatever with the Earth Elemental trapped inside. And I think there's just an awkward scene in the middle of this mine. Miners shuffling past, skirting around me as Divan, just eyes glazed over, touching the wall and communicating telepathically with this Earth Elemental that doesn't want to be there, and probing its mind and its knowledge, and sprinkling dust and seeing if I can detect the traces of some suitable spot for a portal or who knows what.
Everyone is just trying to stay the hell out of your way. No one wants to get caught up in this shenanigans.
Does detect magic reveal anything? I think this use of the spell would reveal it for everyone, correct?
If you were sprinkling dust, then yes, it will reveal it for all.
I don't think I'm snorting dust in the middle of this hallway. I think I'm sprinkling detect magic dust. Is there anything magical about this spot? Or I'll go a little ways up and down the hallway and kind of feel around.
No, there's nothing magical about this spot. Whatever holes you've opened here have not left any weaknesses or tears. It is just...
That's reassuring. I don't think Minor Gateway is able to do that or cause that sort of damage, but... Although it's kind of... Because I've broken Minor Gateway by using Hold Portal to keep it open for longer than it should. It's one thing for a 6-second portal to not leave any damage, but if you hold that open for several minutes...
Yeah. Well, luckily for you, it did not damage anything. Luckily for the workers here, they're safe.
Does communing with the spirit of Earth reveal anything? Can I harness its senses for anything useful? I don't necessarily know that this has more been a meditative training activity of Divan's to enter the mind of these spirits. I don't think they're particularly cooperative. I mean, they're basically bound to these gems. They're probably frustrated. It's probably mostly just like elemental groans of frustration.
Yeah, they're pretty unhappy, or it is pretty unhappy in this gem. You know, it can't quite see, it can't quite hear. It can almost feel its surroundings, which are semi-familiar since it's an earth elemental and it's in a gem, but it's also strictly confined with no movement. It's generally just an unhappy creature. And when you probe its thoughts and try to, like, inquire to it, you just sort of get, like, some raw, discomforting emotions out of it. Or, you know, what would pass for earth elemental emotions, which aren't quite the same.
Yeah. Feels like a low tremble of a minor earthquake or something.
Yeah.
Well, Divan takes the time to meditate on what it would be like to be the earth as he presses his hands and his face to this earthen wall. This doesn't seem like a particularly suitable location for a portal, but
Not with all these workers in here.
Well, we could clear them out, but I'm wondering if that would be fruitful, and I'm wondering what to use to even gauge whether that's worth the effort.
Scanning through your spells, I take it?
Yeah. Is this so? This is probably near the entrance of the mine or something. Is there like a side hallway here? I guess where is the spot
there's a little
that is opening these portals?
So let me give us a quick little doodle. I shall doodle in the sea to the northeast of the Red Hills. So if
There's also the little map of the town. You can doodle near there, but this is fine too. Go for it. You already started.
Yeah. So if this is our entrance, this would be the outside of the cave down here. It'll come in, and then now there's a room like this, which is for supplies. And then this, and this goes down this way. And the spot that you had initially worked was like right here. But now this hallway is wide enough for 2 mine carts to pass instead of 1 person to walk in and out. So it's sort of in the middle of space. But right next to it is this little path that leads to this this storage chamber where spare tools are kept. Some food is kept in barrels for emergencies, bellows for blowing out air, yada yada yada. Lanterns, candles, oils, tinder, flint, steel. So there is a passage, and there's even a passage that goes behind this block of wall, and then the mine continues further in and branches into, you know, following veins wherever the veins might go.
All right. Divan sets to work. If there's a foreman nearby, he's going to tell him that he has business that he needs to do here.
Yeah, when you come out of your dust throwing around, you'll see that there is the foreman of the mine who's standing kind of nearby and has appointed one of the younger miners to divert traffic around you and like get everyone to move back and forth.
Yeah.
While the foreman stands by waiting to be called upon for service.
Yeah, I'm like, there's something that I need to do here. This mine shaft needs to be moved, I say. And I go about...
You want us to expand the mine shaft, sir?
Yes, I need to work here. And Divan sort of gestures to the air in front of where he'd opened the portal. So I suppose we should widen the shaft that way by about 5 feet and block this off.
You want us to return Earth to this spot?
Do you need... Well, maybe eventually, but I can take care of that. Do you need a straight line here to here? Are there tracks underneath us? Or is it just like a smoothed surface for carts?
A smooth surface with wooden wheels that roll.
But the carts have the wheels. There's not a track.
No track.
Okay.
He looks confused and he points to the other wall. So you want us to expand the wall out like this and then bring it back in like that?
Exactly. And I'll probably need that room.
Of course, Lord Divan.
Oops, that's not. This is probably not the most efficient spell to use, but I think Divan starts like fabricating what they've been describing. As this confused guy is still trying to understand what's happening, Divan starts doing it before his eyes. I think we're calling this mineral, right? So it's a cubic foot per level. So I can only move 11 cubic feet, which isn't really that much. Maybe I start with, so I got extrude, or I could like disintegrate. I think I start fabricating. Do I want to fabricate supports first and then disintegrate around that? Do I need like line of sight, or can I fabricate something inside of a wall? Like, can I fabricate?
You need to be able to see what you're doing.
Okay. Fabricate. Fabricate lasts. It's permanent, but it's one. Is it one round per level, or just 1 cubic foot per level, or is it just like a one-off like poof and then it's fabricated?
Casting time is special, so I think it probably takes you. Casting time requires 1 full round per cubic yard or foot of material.
And that's the casting time, and then it's done. I feel like it's more like you're doing it as you go, but...
Yeah. So if you need a cubic yard of stuff, then it will take you 1 minute to shape it with your hands and your mind and your magic. And if you need 10 cubic yards, then it takes you 10 minutes to shape it.
All of these spells that I've created are in the 1 cubic foot per level range. Although Extrude is a 3rd level spell. However, it is a single instantaneous thrust, which may degrade the or damage the area. So I guess we do lesser disintegration before fabricate, and then I'll fabricate some supports. So Divan starts like as we're discussing moving the hallway, Divan starts moving the hallway. Carving out the this section here.
Yeah, the foreman and the other miners immediately back off and look at.
He can only get through 11 cubic feet at this level, so he spends 10 minutes like carving into this. Maybe leaving sections where there are like crude pillars. 11 cubic feet isn't really that much, right? It's basic.
Yeah,
that's hardly any at all. But I mostly want line of effect to bolster the wall.
Wait, but you're not using feet. You're using yards.
No, I'm using lesser disintegration to clear line of effect to fabricate.
Right.
I can't. Remember we had the whole mineral debate.
Yeah, and I reworded the spell to be more clear, so it wasn't
I think this is considered mineral. This let's see.
Yes, the earth here is going to be considered mineral.
Yeah, as opposed to
non-mineral.
Yeah, I feel like this is not consistent with our modern understanding of what soil actually is.
But... Yeah, you can't you can't expect these coke fiends from the 80s to use the word mineral in a scientific manner.
So Divan strategically cuts his way through 11 cubic feet of earth, mostly to like get in to do line of effect to fabricate out the wall, and then we'll cast to fabricate and make like supports where the wall needs to be, like, so like we dig in, you get what I'm saying, right? Excavate like a cubic foot there, right? So that I can see in.
Oh, but so then you build out like flangs of support.
Well, that's more just to, like, get inside of the wall so that I can see and use fabricate to like make a pillar
Mm-hmm.
of support here, like
Mm.
densify or like turn the mud into like
Mm-hmm.
a stone brick kind of thing. I think this is probably where I'm wanting to have a transmute rock to mud, mud to rock kind of thing. Might make this a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I start that process. How many MP do I have? Let's see. A 5th level spell is like, is that the 27? Mana costs level 5, 25. So I can do about 2 fabricates. So I get part of the way through this today. And maybe like once the miners see what I'm starting to do.
Yes.
And then I think the next thing that happens is I like start fabricating this, whatever that like.
This section over here.
Yeah, as like a, oops, what did I close something? Oh, I just went back. Yeah, so two castings of fabricate, 1 casting of lesser disintegration.
Yeah, you can build out support beams. You can build out the columns, and when you're done with your magic, the laborers can go in and do touch-ups and the rest of the hauling of earth now that the area is a little bit more stable.
It might be better to just like bump out this whole thing like that way.
Mm-hmm.
But one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably going to... This is their storage room?
Yes,
right,
that is one of the storage rooms. That's the foremost one. If you say you need it, they will temporarily haul all their supplies outside while they excavate a new storage room.
And I think Divan sets up camp in this room and begins planning to portal to the elemental plane of Earth from here.
Mm-hmm.
Mad wizard stuff. I don't know. I didn't have a quest, so I had to make my own. Okay. And I think in a matter of hours, we've kind of like at least started diverting the path, or diverting the mine shaft. And set up shop in here. And I think this will be a day spent in study. Maybe researching rock to mud and planning how to make a portal to the elemental plane of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're going to use the same minor gateway to do that and see if you can find the same spot?
No, I was thinking to dimensional tear to like actually make a portal in here.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
So we'll probably wind up like excavating this and then leaving the wall like here and then carving an appropriate archway or whatever. Like here will be a portal with that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then we'll enter from there and see if that will get us anywhere near where we want to go. Worst case scenario, we're in the elemental plane of Earth and we can poke around from there. So later that day, we probably either Divan goes and fetches them or someone else goes and fetches the apprentices and they bring some of our notes and stuff and we set up a little. Yeah, there's probably a couple of mages sitting on the floor in here reading papers and writing by candlelight. A tarp gets thrown up over the door and this whole section gets like tarped off.
Food and water barrels are used as the legs for tables. Extra planks are brought and quickly hammered together to form the tabletops.
Yeah, so the miners get set to work in the hallway. I think this room gets we take it over and it's quickly off limits and there's just like a tarp hanging up and mysterious wizardy things going on behind it.
Strange lights pouring out from time to time, the crackling of candles and practiced magics, the slow cursing of apprentices as they ink splatters across the page or something gets knocked over.
Yeah.
Well, hours will turn into a couple of days as time and practice and work gets done. And within a week, probably less than a week, the area is ready for experimentation.
Great. Yeah, I guess this is all stone, so it seems easy enough to make a gateway to the plane of stone. I think part of it was like trying to recreate the sense of what it was like before we dug a shaft here. So like using fabricate to put the put the stones back in a way that simulates what it should have been like. It's all very abstract. There's a lot of ESP communications with disgruntled elementals. Stacking of stones. And and eventually I think we wind out like bumping this wall out.
Well,
to like
when
here,
it's all
right? And then there's
done,
or actually it's probably more like a little passageway. To like a little portal,
so you're building a wall, a passageway from this side.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that way you can access that same section of wall, but from the other side, so you're not getting in the way of the miners. I see what you're saying.
Exactly, yeah. And then this is all going to be off limits.
Okay.
Right, so there's like a tarp over here.
Okay, so
and then you can you walk in too many different random colors, but I'll delete my stuff in a second, right? But you could like walk in here and access the portal that way.
Gosh, something like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then we'll just say the walls have been moved out like that. And try and consolidate into a more normal, colorful map. And then we'll do a tarp this way, which blocks off this.
Yeah. Maybe eventually we'll need to build a more sturdy structure, or like a...
If there are further experiments to take place here, passages can be added and removed as needed. But for now, this will do.
Wondering if the contact other plane would help in this construction. Like, should I reach out to the plane of Earth to, like, does that seem like that'd be a useful part of this research? I don't know what questions I even want to ask, but I feel like that
I'm not sure what you're even doing yet, other than trying to get to the plane of Earth, which you can do with your spells. What
we're digging for gold.
I
think I will contact other plane from here. So let's go ahead. We'll have brought a couple of scrolls of remove curse. Chance is only 15% of going insane. We don't go insane. And so I think in front of this portal, as it's like nearly completed, Divan will ask, like,
yes. 5 questions, Divan.
5 questions. Trying to gauge what, so when I open this portal, I guess when I open this portal, will it lead to a predictable location in the plane of Earth? Right, like, is it going to be random the first time I guess I don't really get to add all of these explanations to the creature, but is it going to be a random spot, or will it be like, is it predictable based on the way I've stacked the stones? So I think if it's related to...
Yeah, it will give you the answer unknown.
Like it does. It should have a 90% chance. If it's, maybe this isn't related to the plane of Earth. Maybe this is more related to the interplanar travel. So it doesn't know. Can I alter the construction of this portal to get a... direct it? Can I alter the construction of this portal to go somewhere more specific?
Making my notes real quick. And the dice rolls. No. Answer.
No. So it's more the location. It almost doesn't matter what portal I make, I think. Is there a reliable way to find gold or other precious metals in your plane?
Yes.
Yes. Do the elementals sense these metals? Is it like, do I need a local guide, or do I need a earth spirit chained in a soul gem? That second part wasn't a question. That was amusing to myself.
Right. The answer comes back some.
Can humans survive in the plane of Earth without special precautions, special measures? Yeah, that's fine enough question. Can humans survive there? I'm worried they'll be like, yeah, it's dangerous, we'll eat you. No, you can't survive here. But more, I think you can just get, I think as long as you're in like air pockets, I think you're fine in the plane of Earth. It's difficult to move around, but what does he say about human survival? What does it say?
The answer comes back no.
No, we can't. Oh, we can't survive.
That is what this extraplanar spirit tells you, is that it is a inhuman survive the plane of Earth without precautions, and the answer is no.
Well, okay. It sounds like I don't like. She just opened this portal, right? Like it doesn't sound like there's squabbling over the construction of it will not help direct it. I think the portal is probably going to take me where it goes on the plane of Earth, based on its location, more than its construction. Maybe there are other instances where I'm guessing like with the shadow plane, maybe changing the angles of the shadows or choosing a different time would get you somewhere different or change the circumstances. Plane of Earth, maybe not so much. Anyways, within a week or so, we've got this crude. It's like a artistic interpretation of a doorway etched into the wall. Maybe like bordered by stacked stones. Divan was trying to like feel out the feng shui of it, and after communing with this creature, it sounds like none of that really matters. As long as it's some approximation of a portal, he thinks he can probably get there. This whole time has been in study, and I think we kind of skipped days. So can I have full mana, or should we roll mana recovery rates to see?
No, you can have full mana. It's been days. There's no real pressing threat. You could always just wait another couple of days to get all your mana back. It's fine.
Okay.
We're not even tracking days on a calendar anymore.
Yeah. Getting lazy over here. Okay. And then with this portal made, apprentices around. Is a soy still not back? How do you know if you're not tracking days?
Let's focus on the one thing. Soy is not back for the time, but she should be coming back any moment, right? She's been gone a long time.
She's probably dead. Okay. Spells. Dimensional Tear. Yeah, so we've spent this week constructing this portal in the just so spot here in this mine. So Divan approaches it. Let's see, verbal. I think the material components are just like the portal, the set and the setting. So he approaches the wall, encamps magic words. In this case, they may just be like the groans of his magic interpretation of Earth, the groans of the rumble of plates grinding against each other, and
you attempt to make the sound of a P wave. Yes.
And Divan like sticks his hand into the wall, through the wall, defying like physics or logic, and I think just like splits the earth open, and like opening of a curtain, I think reveals a tunnel where there was this doorway. Oh, maybe not a tunnel, maybe just a solid wall of rock, but on the other side should be the elemental plane of earth. And we're gonna roll 1d100 plus 2. Rolled in secret, but I think you want to give me like qualitative clues as to the duration.
Right. 1d100 plus 2.
Plus 2. If you roll a 99 or 100, I break something, but any other roll, that's just the number of rounds that this portal will stay open.
The portal opened is solid and stable. The bounds of it, the edges of it, you can sort of see the distinction in the earth color between the prime materia plane, where this is sort of like a reddish chalky, a reddish color with sort of a chalky feel to it, and on the other side, where you've actually reached into the plane of earth, the material here is dense and thick and more of like a deep brown muddy color to it.
Is it just is it like solid rock, or is probably is,
no
right?
It is
or is there a hallway?
It's not rock here. It's some sort of dirty materially thingy with like speckles of a silvery metal. Not silver, but like that sort of
what other
color
metal could it be? Well, anyways,
more of like
a
dim, dingy silver.
Okay, it's like a tin or
yeah. I mean, you
could be anything.
You could reach out and touch it and try and figure it out.
I absolutely reach out and grab like a fistful of it.
It's heavy. It's got to be something with a really high density.
Maybe lead or something. Divan calls out and maybe pokes his head out the window within like this first round, whatever, after grabbing it, and like shouts, "Miners, foremen! Drop what you're doing! Come here!"
With all haste, the room is filled with miners. The foreman pushes his way to the front.
And instead, I'm like, "We haven't much time. Dig." And
the foreman's like, "But we'll breach through to the other side."
Dig. The crazy wizard just looks at him.
With axes and shovels, they go to work.
And
they haul earth.
We've got this storeroom cleared out. All that's really in it is our papers, which the apprentices quickly sweep up, get out of the way, and I think we just start piling lead ore or whatever this is in the storeroom.
Yes.
And soon enough, we'll all have lead poisoning, and everyone will be as mad as Divan. Once he takes a few minutes to like explain what the heck's going on to the foreman and the mine. I mean, he doesn't explain what's going on, but explains what needs to be done to the foreman and the miners. And once they're to work, I do want to cast a locate landmark like into the plane of Earth.
One of the things you'll notice very quickly as they start to like hit the wall here and break off chunks of it, it seems to be like self-collapsing into this area. There's not much like tunneling forward as the section of wall in front of you is weakened by blows from picks and axes and shovels. Like it sort of forcefully collapses into this room. So huge quantities of earth are spilling in. Does it
collapse like through the portal, and is it like
through the portal? Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we wind up probably just like shoveling this dirt into this room here.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. This lead will probably block. maybe it will block my locate landmark spell.
Hmm.
Divan, because he may be distracted, he will assign one or both of his apprentices to keep an eye on the borders of the portal. So they'll be like standing, hopefully out of the way, like here, whatever, like peeking at the walls of the portal to like warn the miners if it starts to close.
Mm-hmm.
Divan wants to cast a locate landmark, hopefully into the plane of Earth. So what he's going to do, like when he's ready to cast it, he'll clear the mine. He'll be like, just a moment, back, let me through, and he'll like step through, past the portal, like sort of forcing his way, at least his head and his hands, through the portal into this like leaded dirt to cast a locate landmark in the plane of Earth.
Excellent. So locate landmark will find a landmark, right? It's a thing, not just like where is a shovel, but like where is the great tree of vitality.
Yeah, so within a range of a mile. I mean, it doesn't need to be the great tree of vitality. I'll be seeking out like the gold vein or like the gold deposit.
Is that so? That's not a specific thing. That's a generalized like a deposit of gold. That's not necessarily a landmark, right? How could you? What land, like what?
Noble landmarks like a king's crown automatically fail. I mean, like if you go to Necrot and you're like, take me to the copper mine, right? That's a landmark in Necrot.
That's true. But if you just said take me to copper, it wouldn't bring you anywhere. So if you say take me to gold, that's not a thing. But a gold mine in the plane of Earth would be a thing. But
there's not going to be a mine. It's going to be a gold deposit. Take me to the gold vein. Basically. So, like, there's, in all likelihood, there isn't one. But if there is, it will be like, oh, like 700 yards that away is a gold deposit. Is the gold deposit in this area, right? Like, it does. I was assuming that it didn't need to be like a global land. It doesn't need to be the tree of life, but it can be like, I don't know. Okay. The local rock that kind of looks like a lizard, except, right? I'm like the local rock that's made out of gold.
Right.
Where's the limit? So, like, where is the? Yeah, I mean, that's what I was forgetting. It's like the gold vein. Like, if there is a large
capital gold, T, the gold vein.
Right, like where's the? I guess it's pulling creatures in a mile, but the location doesn't need to be in a mile, does it?
Right. So you would need something that the creatures within a mile would be able to unequivocally know what you're talking about.
I mean, I guess, where's the? So I guess they'll be directing me to like the mother lode of gold on the plane of Earth, huh? Wouldn't that? Yeah. So I guess like where is the gold with gold and capital, right? Like, right. I guess I wasn't thinking. I was thinking the landmark was in a mile, but no, it's the creature's in a mile, and they're gonna point me to like the capital gold. So like. I don't know how the elemental plane of Earth is, but if it's organized in like this is the lead region, and maybe there's a copper region, maybe there's like the gold on this plane, or maybe not. Maybe the spell fizzles and. Where's the gold? Where's the landmark gold on this plane?
How do you give directions in the plane of Earth? Is it really?
I mean, I think the results of this is just a direction. Like it just points me a direction, doesn't it? I would need to triangulate.
Yeah. You will get a direction that is, through your portal is mostly like maybe 45 degrees up. And if the portal is like straight in front of you, maybe 12 degrees to your left.
Okay. I'm not really going to note that. I mean, I guess you can. It doesn't seem like that's going to be that helpful. But, like, I'll probably need to triangulate and see. I mean, I'll note it, but let's see. 18. I'm calculating MP. So 18 from 84. Is that like 66 left? I've got enough to do some like fabrication. right, like trying to stabilize this passage so that I can. How do I travel in here?
How does one travel in the plane of Earth?
I think you've got to like meld with stone or something. That's one method. I don't know if there are wizard spells that do similar things.
Yeah.
Swall. As well as 5th level spell. Oh, that actually opens the passage. I mean, one can tunnel, like, but actually how, I don't know how useful, though, it will be to fabricate much in here. What if you use Minor Gateway inside of the plane of Earth?
To the plane of Earth?
Yeah. Or like, would it be to the back to the Primateria plane?
That's a great question. You want to give it a shot?
Everybody stand back. So while I'm like locating landmark and everyone else is gathered in the room behind me. So I need to draw it in the air. Is there enough air in this plane?
Well, it seems that the plane is like collapsing into your room, and your people are like digging it out and making room for it, and then as like they pull it out and they start to carve back in, more of it like collapses and folds. Give me an intelligence check, although you probably don't even need the check. You probably already understand. Yeah, it's clear that the amount of pressure on the other side of this plane is immense, and that any gap of air at like atmospheric pressure from Necrot is just being engulfed with the pressure of Earth spilling in.
So will it be possible to open a minor gateway in there, or is it just like the word you draw in the air a portal? Like, can I even get into the plane of Earth, or is
I'm
it
sure
just
you could just like
out?
run your finger along the edge of the wall. That's probably sufficient.
Yeah. Okay.
So you open a minor gateway in the plane of Earth to the plane of Earth.
Is the prime materia plane an option?
It is not.
Okay, so this is always to another elemental to an elemental planes.
Yes.
And presumably it can be cast from any plane to any elemental plane, or does it only work in the prime materia? I mean, what happens? So does this open a portal somewhere else on the elemental plane of Earth?
Yes.
Or do I break the fabric of
Yes,
space-time?
you have a portal within a portal. One, infinitesimally deeper in than the other. And where's my 2d8?
Yeah, I'm not ready to hold it open or do anything with it. I'll be pissed off if I see a glimpse of gold.
No, you see a granite wall before you.
Okay. Does that cause any permanent does it mess with the lead stuff for a second, or I guess for a second?
For a brief moment, the lead is gone and stops pouring into the room, and then a few seconds pass and the wall fades or it vanishes from you, and the earth once again dumps back into the room.
Well, this has been interesting and informative, but I think we maybe just spend an hour or however long we have mining lead, and I don't know if anything else productive comes of it.
Yeah, I think it's of minor interest to Divan that what we find here are like ingots of lead, or like chunks of lead in an otherwise dirty space. Not so much like lead ore fused with rock, but like
so it's not like a lead rich soil or whatever, dirt. It's like
it's like someone deposited a bunch of chunks of lead in the earth and then walked away. So it's soft soil.
Okay, and then we're pulling
dense
out
soil, but with like chunks of lead.
Okay.
Yeah. Unusual. Unlike the other metals that you found, which have been more like fused with stone and need to be smelted out, this is just scattered.
Okay. We need to figure out a better way to travel on these planes. How does one travel in the plane of Earth? Tunneling is an option, but that sounds quite tedious.
It would be very slow, and the risk of collapse would be catastrophic.
Could magic jar myself into an earth elemental. That may be the way to do it. What happens if you conjure an elemental on the so if I conjure an earth elemental and take it back to the plane of Earth, does it get sent back to its original summoning location at the end of the spell? Right, the duration expires, it still goes back where it started.
Maybe if it's already on the plane, then it just gets moved to a different location. Like if you're already on the plane, I don't know if it would function as like a reverse teleport. You might just free it in that exact location. Anyway, while people are digging out this stuff and you're staring at the wall, one of the things that gets dug out of the earth here is a ball of lead, but it's not quite ball shaped. It's more like teardrop shaped piece of lead, about yay big. This. It's a different texture to it. It's sort of like bumpy with like little nodules that pop up all over irregularly, but to about the same regular depth. And it's heavy like lead, like the rest of it, but it's a larger, bumpy, chunky.
Divan will intercept it. Ask his apprentices what they make of this. Cassandra will cast a detect magic, the conventional detect magic.
It doesn't seem to be radiating any sort of magic.
Okay. Is the only magic here is the portal that I've created, or is the plane of Earth inherently magical, or?
The detect magic will not...
It probably gets blocked by the plane of Earth, doesn't it?
Yeah, it wouldn't go through the plane of Earth. It might not even go through the portal. I don't know if detect magic can cross boundaries like that quite as so easily. Maybe not, but they don't see anything magical other than like the portal itself, which is radiating a ton of magic. Cassandra will look at this heavy chunk of lead, and turn it over.
So does it look like it just like melted and then solidified in like a drop shape, or does it look like a crafted object, even if it were crafted by alien hands?
She turns it over once, twice. She notes the bumpy texture. Similar questions to you arise. Is this a natural formation, or is this a crafted thing? Cassandra ponders the nature of metals. It doesn't seem like most metals in their natural deposits are melted and left there. And if it was melted and left, then that must have conformed to a shell of some kind, some sort of casing that would have looked like this. So it doesn't seem an accidental melting, and the rough, irregular texture is too uniform and too, it's got this like teardrop shape to it all the way around. It's definitely, and it's unlike these other things that it's deposited near. It seems very intentional, but also very kind of natural and crude.
Yes, P is one way, isn't it? So I don't have any way of like asking this earth elemental
Mm.
Maybe later. I mean, we'll keep it and think about it later. I guess on an off chance, can I make a spellcraft check to see if this is used as a magical device of any kind?
It's not like any device that you have
Like part
heard
of like a spell component or like a magic item. I mean, it's not radiating magic, but
yeah.
it's just like it's like a solid. It's like a statue, or that's not the word. It's like a sculpture. It's not a. It's like a single piece. It's not a
single solid piece. No cuts, no cracks, no breaks. Doesn't look like it comes apart.
If we can direct our digging in that direction, that would be great, but I don't think that's very easy. We're kind of just like shoveling through sand as it falls through.
Yeah, and this was sort of just like pulled out of the pile. Someone was like, hey, look at this, and grabbed it and held it up. Moff says that proper measurements should be done to see if it isn't composed entirely of lead, or if it's just something heavy and within a deposit of lead.
Yeah, we'll take this to Heifer when we're done here, but time is of the essence.
It gets placed on a shelf as everything else gets extracted. After about 80 minutes, the portal begins to weaken, and you know that the time is drawing near.
Yeah, all right. Everybody get back. With the final minutes, maybe Divan will clear out the miners. If they're no longer in the way, he'll extrude out one final 11 cubic foot thrust of the plane.
Huge amounts of soil come dumping down on you, being pulled out.
There's 5 yards per lift, so we're out of the way. That was basically what's 11.
Oh, right, you can cast it from range. Okay, this isn't the one that you have to touch with your hand.
A spike of lead thrusts out, or a spike of soil thrusts out. 11 cubic foot. What is it? So that's probably in the ballpark of a foot by an 11-foot spike, something like that. Juts
practically
out from the
filling the room. Yeah. And then crumbling, and then the portal eventually fizzles and fails, and that chunk, just whatever remains of it, falls and collapses into the room here.
Yeah. And we clear out, filter like the soil out.
Soil and lead can be separated. The soil
does the
can be
soil
deposited.
Seem at all interesting?
They've just been chucking it into one big pile outside the mine. They'll move it somewhere else later.
I think we transport it to Divan's tower.
The Earth?
The Earth, yeah. I don't think we'll ever need it, but just you never know. Soil from the elemental plane of Earth seems like it could be handy. So I think we wind up piling it in the caverns beneath the tower. So there will just be a huge pile of dirt down there from the elemental plane of Earth in case we need it later. Separate out the lead.
Cassandra will appoint someone to make a little bin to put it in and label it properly, or Earth, blah blah blah.
It's probably just like a big pile of dirt underneath a tarp in the basement or something like that. But yeah, if she's got better organization, sure. Do these miners get paid a standard wage, or are they okay? So Divan will apologize for derailing their usual work and pay them whatever the equivalent of their wage. What do they typically make a day, and how many people was it? It's probably a gold a day.
Oh no. Maybe the people in charge of the mines might make a gold a day, but the actual general laborers, no way.
Copper a day.
A silver a day is for a basic bitch laborer that's completely unskilled. So a miner probably makes 2 or 3 silver a day.
Okay. How many of them were
3 silver a day. And there were maybe 30 people working on this. So.
Oh, that's a lot of people crammed into that hallway. So, okay.
Well, there's some people in that room, and then there's bucket brigades moving things. So there's people in the hall, people outside, people using wheelbarrows.
I need more money. Let's see. So I'm going to delete my hoard. That was 80 silver and 600 copper. I'm just going to delete my whole hoard.
Sure. I
and
mean,
pay off these miners. I mean, we're minting coins. I should have more copper.
You
and
have
silver,
access to, the wealth of this entire area. I think money is no object for you anymore.
You say that now, but I'm going to want to do spell research thing, and suddenly it might. Anyways, we pay off we pay them for their time, maybe then some. All of the lead is Divan's, or take back to the tower. I don't think most people have much use for lead. I guess they used to use it to make pewter and stuff, which was a bad idea. But Wizard probably has more use for lead than most would. Because I think a very small amount of it blocks magic, right?
If it's appropriately applied, right? You can't just put a lead ball in front of someone. It has to be a nice thin sheet.
A sheet. Can you do like a Faraday cage? Can it be like a cage of lead wire to block magic detection, or does it need to be a solid
needs
sheet?
To be a solid sheet. Even a small puncture in the sheet can render it weakened. Not
interesting.
Guaranteed to be problematic, but can.
We'll stop by Heifer with the interesting bauble, the lead teardrop, and ask him what he makes of it.
He hefts it in his hand. Oh, it's heavy. Solid. Squeezes it with his, what does he have, like 18 strength muscles. Ponders it over. Lifts a hammer and says, "Can I pound on it?"
Let's investigate with non-destructive means first. Do you think it was?
He'll take it over to some scales and he'll start like weighing it against, stacks of coins, or probably not coins. He probably has like actual weights and measures to figure out the exact weight of something, and he gives you back its exact weight. This weighs 15 pounds or something, or 10 pounds. I don't actually have the dimensions of lead to.
Is it solid lead? Is that the conclusion, or is there something else
he's got to figure out its volume too, and so then he goes over to a basin of water and fills it up to a line and plops the thing in there and measures the difference of
Heifer's
displacedness.
a smart cookie. This seems like wizardy things, but anyways.
And soon enough, he comes back and it's lighter than lead, but only just such. It does not. Its density is less than lead, but greater than any other material I know of. Maybe it's hollow inside. Maybe it's encasing something else.
Divan will like tap it with a hammer ever so gently, like listen to see if he can hear any echo or anything that might indicate that it's hollow. Not an echo, but like a resonant gong. I don't know if I.
No, nothing of that kind comes out.
I mean, does it look crafted? Imagine you're an alien creature from the elemental plane of Earth. Does it look crafted then?
Sure. I mean, at that point, anything could be crafted, right? It's hard to. At that point, like a tree could be crafted, or how? If we're talking alien, then it's definitely too weird to just have formed on its own, is what you're looking at least by any measure that you've got. It's got a bumpy texture.
Is it shaped like an egg?
Teardrop shape is roughly egg shape, yeah.
But does it have like a point at the end, or is it rounded at the top?
It's sort of rounded at the top. It's not like all the way teardroppy. It's got, a rounded top and a bigger rounded bottom, or vice versa, depending on which way you shape it.
Let's not break it just yet. Divan takes it back. Is it the texture you said is bumpy?
Mm-hmm.
Is it made of lead, or is it just the approximate density of lead? I guess the surface seemed to be metal.
The surface has that same sort of leadish color to it. How would you guarantee for certain? Can you taste the difference between lead and other metals?
Well, you have to wait for the lead poisoning to kick in. We'll take it back to the tower, put it on a little pillow, and maybe eventually we'll contact the elemental plane of Earth and ask them about this. You can't exactly like show and I mean, but you get to ask questions, and it's just a percent chance to know.
Right, but you'd have to ask the right question at that point. Like, how would you tell it what it is that you're holding?
Yeah. So if I did an extrude, that was a 3rd level spell. 12 less than 66. Or I think I have enough mana to contact other planes today if I feel like it. Let me check and make sure. I did Minor Gateway. It's made a 42. Locate Landmark is a 2nd level spell. That's -7. It's made a 35. Okay, so I've got enough MP for a contact other planes today. So I think that evening we get the apprentices together, remove curses on hand, contact the elemental plane of Earth.
And what will you ask?
Greater than 15. Pass. We'll ask, is there a creature from the plane of Earth that lays eggs in lead deposits?
Is there a creature that lays eggs in lead deposits?
Yeah, I think this is relating to the plane of Earth, so there's probably a 90% chance that it knows it, and then maybe a 75% chance that it tells the truth.
The answer comes back yes.
Ooh. Is special care required to incubate such an egg? You can like follow a train of thought with these questions, right? Like it's the same creature, same conversation. It can like know the answers to the previous questions. You can ask follow-up questions.
You're asking a creature or something. So
yeah.
The question was: Is
special care required to incubate such an egg? Can I leave it on a shelf in the prime material plane and see what it hatches into?
The answer is maybe.
Maybe. Can they survive in the prime material plane? Let's see, can yeah. I guess I'll leave that vague. And I may...
Answer is yes.
Can the eggs hatch in the prime material plane?
The answer is yes.
Can they be tamed by men? By humans?
The answer is yes.
Ooh. Well, we'll report back to the apprentices that we have an egg of some creature native to the plane of Earth. We could probably hatch it here and maybe tame it here. I think we'll bury it in that nice pile of elemental earth in the basement until we figure out what to do with it. I guess we consult the library. I consult my probably like an Umber Hulk or a Boule. What other earthy creatures could this be? I don't recall any of them leaving trails of lead, but I'm sure it's in there somewhere. I'll probably avoid looking up the monstrous manual for now. But
You dig through your pages and your journals and come up with nothing. There is no description of an egg like this in any books that you have that your apprentices can go through. There's nothing about creatures that lay eggs in lead. Your guess is as good as it's going to get for now.
Well,
An unknown, undiscovered thing. Possibly a creature never documented before. Possibly something whose larval or hatchling form is different than its adult form. There's a great amount of possibilities here.
we'll add it to our menagerie.
Why don't we take a break right here and we'll come back and do one more hour on the other side?
Sounds good.
Okay. See you guys on the other side of a break. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death. So, this egg maybe thing is now in a pile of earth in your basement. You've dug out all this lead from the elemental plane of earth, which belongs to Divan, can be used to shield things, can be used to make pottery or metallurgy of some kind. I think
Or drinking glasses, right?
Yeah, pipes for your water. It's a great idea. It's nice and soft, easily malleable. I mean,
Yeah.
Rome was one of the greatest empires to ever exist on Earth, and they were fed by lead pipes. So it can't be that bad for you. Ignore Caligula.
Did I think that was lead poisoning?
I think there are some questions about it. You know, lots of lead. Caligula was kind of mad. Nero and all the other Roman empires.
It's not like, Divan doesn't really have concerns about people scrying on him or reading his mind or anything, but who knows? Lead can come in handy. We can turn it into gold, right? Maybe, I think it's probably in the basement that we build our alchemical laboratory, right? And these they're not catacombs if there's no bodies, right?
Right.
Caverns beneath there's no bodies yet. The caverns beneath the tower. The underground river and serpentine tunnels. Eventually start building a lab.
Excellent. Well,
experiment with alchemy.
Have Alchemist Lab soundtrack over here that can be created.
I don't know if we're doing anything with it, but probably good music. Where are you playing music straight to stream or?
Tabletop audio. Roll20. It's all coming through Roll20.
Playing music this whole time.
The whole session. You've not gotten any background sounds?
You have blocked autoplay media for this website. Let's see. There it is. Why is it so quiet?
Should be a slider in the settings, audio video chat.
Crank it. Spooky. Oh, this sounds like my basement. Perfect for Umber Hulk eggs or whatever that thing is, and and alchemy.
Yeah. Well, Divan, you've got your materials back. Your people are going to work describing things in detail, weighing and measuring and shaping, building out this basement area, creating a proper bin to store all this earth so it doesn't get mixed in with the other earth down here, and adding tables and lantern lights, whatever else is needed. when Divan's thoughts turn to... Well, you just mentioned you could turn this lead to gold. You had the right tools.
I mean, I think the right tool is a philosopher's stone, but
yeah. How often can you contact Outer Plane? Can you just cast it over and over again to ask ever more specific questions?
I think so. It's hard with like yes or no type questions to like develop some tree that's useful to like get you somewhere useful. And the risk of insanity. I mean, I don't think Divan has been contacting other planes except when we have explicitly said so. Just because of that insanity risk, it doesn't seem like something to breeze over. What are the chances of finding a freaky fungal farrier ring here in the basement? A suitable place to portal to the Feywild?
Pretty low in the basement, although that doesn't mean you can't create the conditions for which one would grow. If you can get some, good fungal soil and plant it in here, then and make the area warm enough, it might just grow on its own. But at the time, it's just sort of dead earth. Do you want to grow a berry circle?
It seems more convenient than having to truck out to the brackish fen, but
could be done.
Yeah, stick one of the apprentices on that. Figure out what we need to have a fairy ring growing in here.
Great.
Maybe we need to go get some dirt from the fen.
Yeah, Moth will immediately set off to sort out any information that she can find about
probably hiring some laborer to go out to the fen with a cart and bring back a load of like mud from the fen, and we'll bury it down here and
Yep, can do. Thankfully you've got minions to do that for you, so you don't have to micromanage that project. In a few days it can be accomplished.
I mean, it'll probably take a while before
before anything actually grows, but the seeds can be planted now, and while Moth digs through how you would get such things to grow. In a couple days she will present you with some options. She can send someone or go herself to Hearthhome, where she might be able to find appropriate spores, or she or someone else could be sent up towards the Elven lands to see if they have any particular things, or she can just grab a bunch of material from around this area and throw it on the ground and keep trying and trying and trying until something works. Would you like to seek out specific forces for this, which she can do on her own, or do you just want to throw the dice? And
what do you mean by forces?
Like, do you want to send Moth or someone else on a specific subquest to find appropriate
fungal spores,
or do you want to just try and make it out of nothing?
Maybe somewhere in between. Sorry for talking on the mic. But we probably need to. We'll get the truckload of mud, get some mix in some wheat germ or whatever, and get some fungal spores for. Yeah, if we can find some giant mushrooms. I don't know.
All right, she'll send people to the brackish fen to see if they can find anything there. That's a good middle ground. You don't have to travel too far, and maybe you can find some.
There was a specific. I'll leave it to Moth's discretion. Like, we're outsourcing this.
Yeah.
There was a spot in the fen where we set up a standing stone and have already portaled to the Feywild. This was setting up a more convenient one and maybe getting us to a different spot. Why are you making a charisma check?
I'm just making some checks from Moth to determine her, intelligence and wisdom and charisma in handling this project. I think those are the three skills that she would need.
So, in my research, I found a 9th level alteration spell called Glorious Transmutation that is utter garbage. It eats a philosopher's stone to make 1d10 times 10 pounds of gold.
Oh, well, ignore that shit because our definition of philosopher's stone is very different than
you literally
what this
like
would be.
the prime ingredient is a philosopher's stone, and the spell doesn't even include the ingredients for mixing the stone and the metal. And all you get out of it is, so even at max, say 100 times 50, 5,000 gold for a 9th level spell, and you consume a priceless magical artifact in the process.
Yeah. I think the 2E rules as written Philosopher's Stone is very much different from what we would use. I think they're using the old European Philosopher's Stone is the tool that you use specifically to transmute lead to gold.
Mm-hmm.
And we have extrapolated it into a greater magic item. So I would just ignore.
You don't want to break the economy because 2E is very built around gold being a limited resource or whatever that you need to manage to decide what you want to do in the campaign. But feels like if anything can break that, it should be a 9th like we found ways to break the economy with much lower level spells than a 9th level wizard spell.
Yeah, that spell is trash. It is so trash, I'm just going to suppress it from the spell list from here on out.
What is it? Let's see. Wish. Doesn't wish give you like a limit to how much money you can wish for?
Maybe.
Limited. I thought there was like a list of, but I'm not seeing much at all. Wasn't there? There's something about like you can only wish for 1 point of stat.
Yes, stats can only go up by 1.
Where is that?
Let's see. That might be like on the Ring of 3 Wishes item.
Oh, or Ring of Wishes 3. No,
that's somewhere. Maybe it's under the stats section of the player's handbook.
Many things. I feel like that was like you get some wishes. Not important. I thought there was something on a wish, like you can wish, like
there is something about wishing, and
there was like some limit to how much money you get, and I thought it was probably on the order of thousands, right? Meanwhile, this glorious transmutation is like 1 to 5,000 gold.
Yeah, it's kind of crap because some spells
destroy
cost
1
to
artifact.
5,000 gold to cast. So.
Yeah.
Glorious transmutation was in
Tome of Magic. This is like I guess this is kind of what Divan is researching, but
page 47. Magical item called Philosopher's Stone, touched by the wizard alchemically combined. Blah blah blah. Varying quality so much that each is capable of transmuting either 10 to the 50 pounds of iron into either a quantity of silver or pounds of gold. So 5,000 gold at most. The entire Philosopher's Stone is consumed in the process. Well, that is shit.
I mean, there may not be other uses for Philosopher's Stone Are there Philosopher's Stones in 2E?
Well, I think in the Tome of Magic, there's a list of magic items, and I'm sorting through it right now, looking for...
Philosopher's Stone? Here we go, Philosopher's Stone, magic item, DMG.
Egg. Items enchanted, retort, a long necklace, blah, blah. Egg's second use is as a required component for creating a substance that turns lead into gold, the legendary Philosopher's Stone. Thus, it is sometimes said by wizards that the stone hatches from the egg, and that's all it says. Awesome.
There's a Philosopher's Stone magic item that talks about 5 to 50 to 500, like 10 to 100 pounds of lead to gold. That's more than the...
Maybe they did 100 pounds?
Oh, no, 100, but 10 to 100 pounds of lead to gold. Okay, that's the 9th level spell. Alternately, it's like ingredients for a healing potion. No, for potions of longevity.
And
like restoring the dead to life. All right, well. Thus are Divan's researches. Okay. Lead to gold. Life eternal. Infinite arcane power.
So many good things to do. So little time in which to do them all.
Well, if you get eternal life,
right?
Plenty of time.
Well, Divan, what does your heart desire?
I mean, I guess we're mechanically researching the mud to stone spell. We've set those things in motion, right? We're growing a fairy circle to go to the Feywild. We are Moth is doing that.
What about this Philosopher's Stone? You've contacted an outer plane, and it's said that the stone is being carried by someone or something.
We were trying to research powerful creatures, and I guess did we hit the end of that? Like trying to research what sort of creatures live in the Feywild, and
right. None of your notes had anything on it. It seems like you'd have to quest for knowledge.
Yeah, maybe our next option is we'll see if this fairy circle pans out and just go to the Feywild. Although that took a lot of time, so I think maybe we should seek out some elves. There's no elves in Necrot, are there? Or that visit Necrot?
No elves here. They like trees. There's no trees to be found.
What about in Shelter Bay? Do I think there's any elves there? It's close enough that I feel like I could at least like gather rumors to see if there are elves in Shelter Bay.
Well, Shelter Bay is the sort of place that if elves do work with commerce and trade, that they might come through Shelter Bay temporarily. If you want to find an elf without having to travel a great distance, that's definitely going to be the closest, best place for running across one.
Yeah, I think while we wait for the mushrooms to sprout and other such things, let's make a journey to Shelter Bay.
Yeah.
Out of character, I've been waffling on whether in this campaign, if we want to get teleport or other means of transportation, or if poor Divan is just going to walk on his sandaled feet all over this this world from plane to plane. For now, we don't have teleport, so we're walking to Shelter Bay, but
it's nice with the walking. The teleport does sort of steal a little of spirit and life from the pacing of this exploration of the world. I mean, you're teleporting between planes, so
we're walking between planes, tearing a hole and walking through on our feet. Looks like, and we don't even have like, we don't have horses. I was asking previously about camels. I think we've just got goats.
You got goats. Yep, and a couple of mules.
So it's like it's probably 3-day walk to Shelter Bay. And if nothing important is going on in Necrot, I guess Divan's just going to do that.
Oh, well, look, a natural 20 on the die. When you get to Shelter Bay, there is an elven ship in the harbor currently sitting there, and you can see people going on and off of it. Counters the natural one you rolled on Bay lore earlier in the session.
Yeah. Is it like, do I ask or do we just walk? I walk to the harbor and it's like, that is an elven ship. Like, totally different construction. It's like sleek and like blonde wood and...
Yeah, you notice that the The sides of the ship are huge. Like not the sides, the boards on the side of the ship are unnaturally wide, much wider than the human ships, which have these like nice thin boards like this. The elven boards are way too thick, way too tall, at least. You don't have a lot of knowledge of woodworking, so you can tell the difference, but you're not sure why the difference might be this way. And you'll see that the mast doesn't actually appear to be all that separate from the decking. Like, from what little angles you can get, there seems to be an impossibility to the nature and craftsmanship of it. But otherwise, it still has, the same ship shape. It still uses masts. It has oarlocks for oars if people were to row it. And it's sitting here. There's a couple of people hauling things on and off of it into the cliffside town of Shelter Bay. What would you like to do?
I guess I will approach the harbor. Shelter Bay. Is Shelter Bay... This isn't on like cliffs or anything above it, right? This is just... Why was I thinking there's like huge bluffs?
There are huge bluffs.
Okay.
The town is built into the bluff itself.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
so there was. And there's also that serpent that we...
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what we rescued, placated... Whatever.
Yeah,
here.
had some problems with your serpent, but these things seem to have worked themselves out.
Yeah, it's been a few years, so I don't know.
You'll see shrines to the serpent here. You don't see any sign of it. There is a little path that with a little sign pointing, this way to the great shrine. But you see no serpent, no forked tongue. Mm-hmm. You don't hear the voice. You have met it before, but unless you want to seek it out, it will just be in the background.
I guess Divan approaches the harbor.
Mm-hmm. You come on down. People recognize your face and make way for you.
I'm on their coins.
Yes. You get all the way down to where the docks are, and there they are. There's some elven workers hauling a couple of crates onto their ships. One of them has a bag of coins, and they're pulling and counting out coins and handing them to a human laborer on the dock.
Yeah, Divan approaches. And I guess we just talk to the first elf we see.
Sure. Do you want to talk to one of
the
laborer or the one with the money?
Captain would probably be better, but I'm assuming they're a ways off, so we can just go to whoever happens to be convenient.
Sure. It's this person who was handing money to the human on the dock, and once the money transactions are done, they head towards the town.
Perfect.
And you will intercept them on their route. It looks like they're going to one of the taverns that is built right onto the edge of the dock, and you meet them just outside the door.
Greetings, friend. And Divan will hold the door open for them.
Yes.
Welcome to Shelter Bay.
You must be the man on the money. They say your name is Divine?
Divan just nods. Yes, I am. I am from Necrot, and how fortuitous that your ship would show up in the harbor on this day. For my studies and researches have brought my mind to your woods. Come, let me buy you a drink. And so I've opened the door for him, and I usher him inside and try to show him hospitality. Maybe it's creepy, or maybe it's not. Maybe I'll roll a charisma check, and you haven't asked for it. It's fine,
great.
right?
Yeah, it's fine. It's
I don't
totally
know why
normal.
this laborer. It hasn't even occurred to him. Why is the Lord of these lands just showing up and meeting me at the docks and buying me a glass of wine from his Uncle Vinny's estates?
Yeah, the elf will walk in. You'll notice that there are a few other elves seated in the room at another table, and they were gesturing to the first one, but the first one's clearly walking with you, and they stop gesturing, and you and the other
if I can join them smooth. I passed my charisma check. I think I find a way to join them smoothly.
Sure.
I order a bottle of Vinny's wine, and I tell them I know this couldn't compare to the shaped vineyards of your homeland, but my uncle grows these grapes but a few miles from here in the hills of Necrot.
There
Oh,
was
by
a
the way,
saying among our
I'm
people.
Divan, and I'm the wizard around here.
Yeah, they make
And
some
I tell
comment about you're not from Necrot. Necrot is from you, and they make some other comment
Oh
about.
yeah, they're passing their charisma checks too, and I think we're getting along swimmingly.
They like to
So I
sample the
guess-
varieties of wine, even if it's not up to their standards. You know, variety is the spice of life, and
Is this
should be
so?
enjoyed.
This is probably the only wine I've ever had. What is their reaction to it? Is it just bad? Is this like
just sort of pleasant faces? There no compliments, no degrading remarks. Just sort of, it is what we happen to have in our hand, and we're sipping, and everyone's quite pleased with it. You get sort of that like inscrutable, gently pleasant face that they pass off.
All right, then I will enjoy their company and not push things too hard. As the conversation naturally develops, I'll tell them that I've been researching. Like my researches have brought me bits and pieces about their homeland and how fascinating it seems, and how in some places they've tamed the Feywild and shaped the woods, but in others it is still wild and tangled mess of brambles. It all sounds very fascinating, and I'll direct the conversation to that and ask them to tell me of their homeland.
They immediately start telling you not about the Feywild, but about the forest to the north of here.
That borders the Fey, does it not? Is that not an extension of the Shapewood? The Shapewood?
Well, it is the shaped wood here, they say to you. The Feywild is not shaped wood at all. It is its own space. There was no shaping of the Feywild.
I think I got like a null response when I asked if it was in the Shapewood, and they were like, "The Shapewood isn't the Feywild. What are you talking about, stupid human?"
Yep. The elves are curious. You speak of the Feywild. Have you been? You seem unusually knowledgeable about it for a human, even a grand.
I did happen upon the Feywild for a brief 2 years. It was most disconcerting to my people. What I thought was a mere few days in collaborative research with an elven colleague turned into a 2-year absence, where the politics of this land churned and moved on without me.
Yeah, they nod understandingly, not shocked by it at all, seeming like, yeah, that's just how it goes.
I guess what I'm hoping to get, so I'll ask, like, okay, so the shaped wood is like the elven. Right? Like shaped it in this world, but it's of Fey magic, and the elves rule there, right? Like an elven, as far as anyone can rule over a forest.
Certainly, we like to think of ourselves as caretakers of the woods, not rulers of it.
So the elves care for the shaped wood. Is that on this plane?
The wildwood is forest untouched by hands, unshaped by elves. Shaped wood is the wood within the forest that we would call home. How much do you know of the life cycle of our people?
None. I've heard you live forever. Perhaps you'll have to tell me those secrets.
Some of our kind, upon reaching elderly ages, enter the next phase of life, in which they imbue their spirits into the woods themselves. A great tree, deep in the heart of the shaped wood, may be half tree spirit, half elven spirit.
How is that different from human lives? It is said that these hills are red with the blood of my ancestors, given back to the earth. These lands are ours because they are of us. We've bled here and toiled here for generations. Is this not the same?
A tree shaped by elven souls can be coaxed to grow in or shrink in directions. They kind of chew over how best to explain it to you.
Yeah. The only way to shape the hills is with pick and shovel. No politely asking my ancestors to budge.
That is a good way of putting it. We can politely ask a tree to bring its branch from the highest peak down to the floor of the forest and to shape its path in a set of stairs so that we may walk across it. It is an ask and a receive. It happens over a short period of weeks, months, or years, depending on the distance things must grow, but much more quickly than trees would grow under ordinary measures.
So there's the shaped wood, the wild wood. What was the third one? It was the
outland? No, hold on. I have
not finding it on the wiki, but there's probably another wiki that
shaped wood, wildwood, and the outlands. Yeah.
So the outlands are the Feywild proper, or
no? The outlands are any territory outside of our woods would be considered the outlands. This here is the outlands.
Oh, okay. So the Feywild is the shaped and the wild.
The Feywild is separate. These terms, shaped wood, wildwood, outland, apply only to the prime materia plane.
Okay.
The Feywild is where some of the elemental planes meets the positive planes. It's a proto plane. Do you understand these words?
Proto being like.
It exists. It is unstable inherently and only manages to manifest itself through continual effort provided by the deities. Most notably, Loomis, Martha, and Astaire are the great workers
Not
of the
Nadinus?
Feywild. Nadinus has a hand in it too, certainly. She is more of a conduit than a keeper, would you say?
So you say you care for for your woods. Mm-hmm. Are there others that are caretakers of the Fey, the Feywild?
No, it needs no caretakers. It is its own realm from which our kind spawned.
Perhaps this is lost in translation, but a realm must have rulers. Or is this a human concept? Who rules the realm of the Feywild?
There are great forces, powerful creatures that reside primarily within the Feywild and who maintain some semblance of borders and territory. But they are
such as? Are there names? Great legends? I am a bit of a student of folklore. I have heard many tales of my ancestors and the great water spirits that rage in the oceans out here. Please tell me some such tales of your own. Tell me such tales of your own.
I mean, we could
lands.
speak of the Dream Maker or the Leprechaun King. I think these names have little use or meaning to a human like you, even one who has traveled there.
Of course not. I find this fascinating. As I said, I am a student of the subject. So I will attempt to goad them into telling me tales of the Dream Maker or the Leprechaun King. I mean, those don't sound like the ones that are going to have the philosopher. Oh, the leprechauns have gold, right?
Yeah, they start off by talking about the Dream Maker, sort of an entity there that doesn't exactly hold physical space in the Feywild. It's sort of Feywild is attached to the plane of dreams, and the Dream Maker moves between the two of them, sort of living in the plane of dreams, but existing in the minds of the people within the Feywild as they sleep and slumber, and sort of directs their subconscious thoughts to this and that. It makes the Dream Maker a powerful force to be reckoned with, for it plants thoughts in your mind while you sleep, while you are absent, and you don't know when it has touched you. Is
this what happened to me when I visited and days slipped into years, or is that something else?
It is likely the Dream Maker touched your mind, but the sense of time flows differently there than it does here. There is contraction and expansion of time that makes that mismatches between our home and that home.
Yeah.
It's unlikely that the Dreammaker kept you there, although they've probably seen the thoughts within your head.
So I think this is how the conversation goes. Like Divan subtly directs it into the areas of his research interests, but he doesn't make it too awkward. He pays for the wine all night, pays for food. How long is a boat staying here? Like at some point to last, like how long their ship's in harbor? How long are they?
They arrived yesterday. They are simply waiting on some things to arrive from Necrot, and when they arrive, they'll load them on the ships and take away. So they're just here until things show up. Could be tomorrow, could be a week. They're just living life, man. They tell you about the Leprechaun King, who is a collector of secrets and a collector of what he considers toys, which might be, the heart of a pure maiden, not like her actual beating heart, but like the symbolic heart of her, or it might be the fierceness of a dwarf, or it might be, a great terrible magical item that is possessed by him. But the Leprechaun King collects all sorts of little trinkets and fascinating objects. He's a great trickster. Maybe not so much a manipulator, but he will subvert intentions through language and through illusion, and always ends up on top somehow. There are other things, there are Narids and what's the great nymph of the Feywild is there too. She spawns others of her kind, and others of her kind will bring to her humans, mortal men that they have found here in this plane, and bring them back through to the Feywild through the great nymph.
Are you making these up as you go along, or do you have a list of
I have a few things. And some of them are making up.
So Divan is a patient man. I think he will probably post up here in Shelter Bay, hanging out with these elves, whining, dining them, and milking them of their legends until what is it that's coming from Necrot? At some point he'll either overhear from one of these elves, hopefully, or from one of the humans around what shipment is coming. And
it's actually just raw copper bars that they are looking for. They don't have much in the way of mining on their own side, and what metals they do have, they sort of recycle and reuse over and over again. But there's some great constructions that they'd like to do, some ornamentation of one of their towns, and for that they need copper. And so they're waiting for a large shipment of copper bars to make its way here.
Yeah, that's the other reason they call us the Red Hills. Blood and copper. Okay.
Would you make me a charisma check, please?
Yeah. Another one. The first one was, no good.
That's fine.
Do I offend them, or do I just not get the information I was looking for?
No. I was going to give you some insight into some of their mannerisms, or maybe like a hint at some of their intents, but you don't pick up on the
elves are hard to read, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I do have ESP as a once a day use. I don't know how I will strategically use that, but
excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Wait, what?
You ESP while you're in the other room, and then walk back and.
I more mean like when in the conversation would I want 11 rounds or whatever it is of mind reading to yeah. With the elves, I don't get much about their mannerisms. I think I'm mostly focused on their legends. I'm trying to see if any of these creatures of folklore that I can get out of them sound like they might have a philosopher's stone, but
well, you learn about a couple other things. There's there was the great nymph, and there was also the great monarch.
Is it like a butterfly or a king?
It is a large butterfly-like creature. It's, massive wingspan of 100 and something feet, and it produces some sort of dust that is very similar in type to like pixie dust or sprite dust. It can put people to sleep. It can imbue life, or it can even weaken creatures.
Is it a gloom wing? Got a pheromone sac from a gloom wing.
Gloom wings are distant relatives of the great monarch. Derivatives. They're more moth than butterfly, but similar in nature. Yes. You are well traveled and well understood.
Wizard makes his business learning things, knowing things.
There are the Mycenoids. They're a rich and powerful entity there, able to take over large sections of Feywild. They have more traditional borders that you may understand. You can always tell when you've entered their forests, or their people branch off. The elves chuckle amongst themselves from each and every tree. Hounds of Light.
Hounds of Light. Interesting. Maybe it's either retconning to the Leprechaun discussion, or if the Leprechaun King comes up again.
Sure, yeah. I mean, the conversation
I'll
flows.
reveal that I've hear the legends are that leprechauns hoard gold, but it sounds like this one has other trinkets.
Yes, certainly. Here on this world, when leprechauns do come through, gold is a favorite of theirs, for it does attract other people to them. It is not gold for gold's sake, but gold for the sake of attracting others that they seek it out.
Do leprechauns craft? Do they create the gold that they bring?
No.
No? Does another? Where did they get their treasures?
One of the elves in particular speaks up and says, I knew a leprechaun one time. He acquired his treasure through trickery, deceit, finding the dwarves nearby, telling them that they were kin, short in stature, great of spirit, convinced the dwarves to buy the leprechaun's great magic. Leprechaun was paid in buckets of gold and produced fantastic illusions, decorating the entirety of the dwarven clan's house with rich trappings and tapestries said to be brought from our own lands, only for the leprechaun to whisk away the buckets of gold and watch the illusions fail all around them. Angered the dwarves, something fierce. Never forgiven the leprechaun, and still to this day seek him out, hoping to find him and take back their gold. These creatures are wonderful, charming, sweet, and full of lies.
So the treasures come from the dwarves.
On this one, yes. The leprechaun, this one in particular, stole his treasure from dwarves. Others have been granted it for whatever services they may have rendered. They have no means of crafting, of mining, of minting.
Oh, yeah. Maybe in another conversation, but I will ask, and we had talked about it previously, to tell me what's the secret to an elven long life? Is
yoga.
Surely you
says
can't
one.
Just be...
Another says, no, eating right. Fruits and vegetables. Another one yet says, exercise, fresh air, and plenty of sunlight. They chuckle amongst themselves and say, I wish we could tell you.
There must be a fountain of youth or a philosopher's stone hidden in your woods.
No, neither of those, although there are fountains filled with youths. But our life is extended only through our own means, extended only relative to yours, shorter than dragons, longer than humans. And, how
So
does
they seem to treat and refer to Divan as a human. Is that...
They not quite. They actually haven't referred to you. They've mentioned humans.
Okay.
But they've very carefully not ever said you humans or your human ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that was as direct as Divan will get. Like asking how they live so long, if there's a fountain or a philosopher's stone.
No, they deny such things.
Yeah. That's when I would like to have used ESP, or maybe immediately after, to see if I can catch like the fleeting surface thoughts on the subject of fountains of youths. And
but you don't want to like sit at the table and cast the spell at the table.
It's innate through my Sirona, so I don't need to like pull out a copper coin and cast ESP. Is it obvious when you are activating a power of a crown or a magic item?
You would probably be able to hide it in a social situation if you needed to, maybe like a rubbing of your temples for some other action. I
think rubbing of the temples is probably exactly that. Almost doesn't. That seems like enough of a tick. Maybe if someone is sensitive to magic auras or, that's fine. Yeah. So I activate it. There's no like verbal component. It's probably just a zoom. And in a crowded bar with drinking and feasting. In the context of the conversation, I think Divan will risk activating it and seeing if he catches surface thoughts. I guess it's one creature at a time, so he bounces around during or in the immediate aftermath of that discussion of Fountains of Youths.
Yeah, of the 4 elves at this table, 2 are sort of mildly curious about you and sort of like, oh, look at this fun creature that we get to play with and talk to. One of them is a little bit nervous about the questions you're asking. You seem to be probing sort of very specific things of elven society that they, and you get the sense that like this elf is thinking maybe we shouldn't be spilling so many of our secrets to this guy. Maybe we should be a little bit more careful. And the 4th one, you get fear from them. You get sort of like a sense of, I know what this thing really is, and I'm trying to cover up my fear of it in a polite social situation.
He knows the thing being me, not
yes. Yes. At least you think it's you. Maybe it's something you're wearing. It's definitely directed in at you. But with ESP being sort of weak until you really pry into something, maybe it's like maybe it's your Sirona. Maybe the Sirona's what's afraid, or another magical item on you. Maybe it's the gem around your neck.
Which gem?
Didn't you wear the earth elemental?
I'm probably not. If that's what he's afraid of, we can say that it's there. I mean, I guess that's kind of metagaming. I don't think they typically stay in a case, and I pick one every day and practice with it. But I don't know that I would have intentionally brought one here. But if you're telling me that I forgot and one is with me, that seems...
It's definitely directed in your direction. Could be you, Divan, or could be piece of item that you have, or something within you that isn't you.
I have 2 potions of Drexel in my bag. That sounds quite ominous. All right. Okay.
Is there anything else that you would like to ask them?
This was interesting, but it seems like without more drastic measures, doesn't... where is their ship going next?
Back home, they will tell you. They don't give a name of a town or a port or anything like that.
Are humans free to come and go, or are your lands closed?
Look between each other. 2 of them sort of shrug. The one who seemed to be sort of afraid says slowly, under normal circumstances, we do not permit outsiders to enter. There are much of our strength and power comes from a sense of mystery. It would be unfortunate if all of our secrets were to be laid bare. There are certain risks involved with sharing the truth of all things. However, to the right person, for the right reason, we may occasionally allow visitors. Your questions have... You seem to be more knowledgeable of our kind than others, and more approachable, more like-minded. Maybe it's all the time you've spent with us. I would be willing to vouch for you.
In study. Oh.
The third,
Hi.
the other elf looks quite surprised at this.
But the paranoid one, or this is the paranoid one that invited me, right?
The fearful one invited you. The paranoid one is surprised.
Oh, okay. Oh, the one that thought we were... Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The fearful one's name is Feyli. She seems to be the leader of this group.
Okay. There's got to be more than just these four, right? There's
Certainly,
like a
you
whole
saw
ship.
other ones working on the ship. These four might be officers, if such a thing can even be applied, or maybe they're just done with their work for the day.
Okay.
Would you like to visit? Would you like to see the shaped wood for yourself?
I must admit that I would. I wasn't exactly requesting, but that's, I guess, where my mind went in the abstract. Does Divan just on a whim ask if he can book passage on a boat to the shaped wood? Sounds like he might.
I mean, you've been invited. Softly. It would be easy to say no. Well, I think we're about at the end of our session here. So when we come back next time, we'll find out if Divan goes with them or stays here. Unless you have something else, Ryan?
I mean, I'm leaning towards why not? It's an adventure, but I guess that's next time.
All right. We will find out next time. There we go.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds like an interesting adventure to go to the shaped wood. That's probably not where I'm going to find Philosopher's Stone, but
you might find a clue, right?
Yeah, or I might just lose 2 more years of my life and come back to another mess.
Could be. The only way to know is to find out.
Alrighty.
Well, that
anything to wrap up?
No. Hopefully
Questions
it'll
from the
be
Patreon?
more than...
Oh wait.
Hopefully it'll be less than 2 months between sessions this time. But we'll see.
Yeah. When do we want to try again?
Well,
Figure it out offline, or?
My wife is out of town for a wee bit, so I could do next Saturday.
Yeah, we could try and do next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not have? Don't you have isn't Embers on Saturday?
It's on Sundays, except for this week, which it was switched.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll confirm, but we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
We can do. I'll check with my 16-month-old secretary and see if.
Got it. If they've got plans for you.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Great. Well, then that'll wrap us up for today. No leveling other than the NPCs who don't get HP yet.
How am I ever going to be the most powerful wizard?
You'll have to play more frequently. Yeah. Anything to say before we go, Ryan?
I don't think so. Thanks for watching, and hope to catch you again soon. Yeah, I don't know. What are the usual plugs? You don't need plugs.
There's no plugs needed. Subscribe on Twitch, check out
Except
Patreon. That's
for
all we
maybe
have to say.
in our hairlines.
And with that, we are out. Catch you next time.